Chris Pirillo joining us on this Crossing the Streams. Welcome, Chris. You have a very extensive history in content creation.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of ground to cover for those that may not know. But let's start with who's Chris Pirillo and what is Chris Pirillo's Twitch channel and community all about? Let's start
What?
there.
Yeah, why do you got to do that to me? That's the worst question to ever ask a variety streamer. Who are you? What do you do? I don't know. So yeah, Chris Pirillo. That is the Twitch channel handle. Like I don't have any fancy handles these days, at least as far as my personal streams are concerned. I have been a long time content creator. We'll get into that. And
Yeah.
normally, what I stream is I'm not going to say exactly like you, but like it's very chat heavy.
Yeah.
I don't really work on a project at any given time. I've got a 3D printer going almost 24/7. Sometimes I'll be building a Lego set. I'm an adult fan of Lego, AFOL, huge fan of minifigures.
Mhm.
I might be showcasing something that I picked up, like, oh, I got these comics, or the new GI Joe body massage figure, or I'm a computer figure. I already opened them, that's why they're off the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like something like I printed a Beskar steel egg, a 3D printed Beskar steel egg
Oh,
here.
that's cool.
No, it's really cool. And then I printed myself frozen in carbonite as well. So that's my face, frozen in carbonite, things
I
like that.
love it.
So yeah, I have fun and I chat, but it's very my stream on Twitch, and I'm every night live every night at 6 p.m. Pacific. So even if you miss one night, you can come back the next night.
Yeah.
But it's very it's usually very, very heavy on interacting with what people are saying in chat, and very interactive and very talkative and very, someone says something that gets us going on one topic or another. The goals that I set, probably the most that Lego gets seen in the stream as much as it does. I've got some Lego bricks strewn across the floor that if we go through a level 5 hype train or hit our sub goal, then I'll walk barefoot across the Lego bricks, which people kind of like. It's a fun thing that people enjoy. I don't necessarily enjoy it as much, but they enjoy it, and so they get a kick out of it. But yeah, that's my primary Twitch channel. And then this past week, I launched a community Twitch channel that's running 24/7, that's showcasing people who are 3D printing and making things and putting things together, or assemble. Just the idea
Yeah.
that at any given time you can jump on a Twitch and inevitably someone could be on, or that someone's there, as opposed to having nobody and nothing in your sidebar. This is a 24/7 feed. It has to reset every 48 hours due to a Twitch limitation, but it's always there. It's always being streamed.
That's excellent. There's a lot going on. I mean, you had a big week launching this new Twitch channel. So
Yeah.
that's impressive. And what's it called again?
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't mention that. That's probably the most important part.
Yeah.
MakerDeck.
MakerDeck.
MakerDeck. Yeah. So it's basically like TweetDeck or Stream Deck, but it's makers, right?
Got you.
So it's a bunch of makers. And yeah, theoretically, someone may be at some point say, "Hey, Chris, would you mind if I do some, MOCs or mocks?" I've never known what to say. Oh,
Mox.
speaking
Sure.
of,
Yeah.
this is a mock from Nathan Sawaya.
Oh,
Nathan
yeah.
Sawaya made this for me specifically. This is a Nathan Sawaya original.
That's a great BB-8.
Dude. Well, it's Nathan Sawaya, so yeah, like it's just like master builder. Yeah. So that's my, there's my Lego cred right there.
There it is.
But yeah, so it started this week as a 24/7 channel. And the idea is that you can tune in, get inspired, see what's going on. You don't you have to know anything about making or 3D printing. You don't even have to have a Twitch channel to stream into it. Like, people who've never streamed before are streaming a webcam feed in through StreamYard,
Yeah.
and they're alongside 9 or other. There's usually it caps out at 10. That's a platform limitation, but it's a 24/7 maker feed. And yeah, it started almost to the hour 48 hours ago.
That's exciting. That's really exciting.
It is. And as someone who's been doing content and been doing community for some time, I don't think I've been as excited for something and in and around a launch, given my experience, given how disconnected I've been from myself, and feeling like I didn't have something to offer a greater community where that had not already not have already happened. And we can go through this because you're
Yeah.
talking about history, and I'll let you
Yeah.
ask the
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
But I almost have to start from like the very beginning.
I
right?
would actually love to start from the beginning, because for those that don't know Chris Pirillo, there is an extensive creator history. There's a lot of
Yeah.
there's a lot of there's a lot that brought Chris from where he started to here. So how did it start, Chris? Let's tell your story.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a long story. So and this is a big one, but I graduated with a degree in English education, and knew pretty quickly that it wasn't going to work for me,
Yeah.
because as much as I can write and I enjoyed the creative writing process and educating, the school system I don't think would have been compatible with me. And the internet had just started, back in the mid 90s, or I first got online in 1992 at the university, and pursued the degree. But I was like, what am I going to do, dude? I don't want to go work for somebody necessarily, but I
Mhm.
don't know what to do. There's no template. And the internet provided enough of an opportunity. And remember, this is the internet in the mid 90s. Like,
Yeah.
people barely had dial up back then.
Yep.
So there were things that were happening online, but finding those things wasn't easy. There was no Google. I mean, yeah, we had a Yahoo, but Yahoo had a tilde in the URL. I mean,
Yeah.
it was the very early days. And so I thought, I enjoy finding things. I enjoy finding these little interesting destinations. I wonder if I could send out an email newsletter. Websites people visited, but they'd forget about them. Like, if I did an email newsletter, the idea would be that people could subscribe, and then I would send it to them like a newsletter, right? And
Mhm.
this is before spam was a thing, before email marketing. But I started in 1996 with an entity called Locker Gnome. That was the name of the business that had largely stuck around for a greater part of 20 years. It didn't really mean anything apart from it was an old high school nickname. And I was like, oh, I need to register a domain. I'll go with Locker Gnome.
Mhm.
And so that's how the word Locker Gnome came around. It was an old high school nickname. And so I did email newsletters, and that became something that paid the bills. Like, right out of college, wrote a book on email publishing, and that paid off my student loans. Found that I enjoyed, this level of entrepreneurship. But the creator industry, as now they call the creator economy, the passion economy, wasn't
Right.
anything. So there was no template. There was nothing there was nobody I could necessarily look up to or look to help figure out how to forge this path. So these days it's a given. Like, oh, you just go to Twitch, sign up, and it's done. Or Twitter, oh, it's done. Social media.
Yeah.
No, but
Very
back
different
then,
time. Very different time.
radically different. But that's where I've honestly, up until I feel that up until this week, I haven't had that same feeling that I had in the original days, because I started Locker Gnome to help people because I was having fun. I was expressing myself. I was making an impact, and I felt like I belonged, and making this thing that other people enjoyed. And I've done that, over the years with various entities, but it's just it's different. Like, back then, when we use the word community, there weren't a lot of. I mean, we had Usenet news groups, but there weren't. I mean, there were some forums, and those were communities. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'd count. We can get into it. Social media is more of a commons than it is
Sure.
a community, but community is think of community less as a channel and more of an overarching, you know, um, an overarching series of overlapping bubbles, like a big series of Venn diagrams, and your channel taps into that greater community, right?
Right.
So because when you do your thing, when I do my thing, it's a very cult of personality. People follow you because they enjoy your style, and they
Mhm.
might enjoy, Lego bricks, and they might enjoy these conversations as well. But there's just something about the way you do it that they like. But it's
Right.
not just the way you do it; it's what you're doing. And so those things can't really, they don't just exist in a channel. They exist basically in someone's soul, right? They take community with them wherever they go because they're
Mhm.
connected to this greater thing that doesn't belong to any one person. Now, that's very
Right.
philosophical to throw. It's a big concept, but honestly, just think about your own patterns and
Right.
where, who you follow, why you follow them. Why do you follow them and not others? Why do you not follow those Lego people? Why they like the same things you do, but why don't you like, why don't you, so, but you're all
Personality.
tapping into that same, yeah. So it boils down to a lot of combinations, and that wasn't a roadmap for me in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I latched onto technology, because technology was the thing that made the internet happen. And, I liked what software could do and what websites were and everything. And so I feel that, with with having done that in the early days, I've seen the ebbing and flowing. Everything old is new again. What I've come to say, what used to be difficult is now easy, and what used to be easy is now difficult. And that's what I tell a lot of people who've been around for a while, and they're like, "Yeah, that's right."
Yeah.
But that's where I felt like I had been struggling for a number of years. And we'll get to this. This is just the beginning of the journey.
Yeah, no, this
So
is good.
I'm gonna fast forward through a couple, honestly, quite
So we
kind
did
of boring
email,
parts.
we did email
Right.
lists, e-publishing basically.
Yep.
And then from there,
So I authored a book, hosted a terrestrial radio program,
mhm,
call-in show, and then was hired to host a TV show on a dead network now. Did that for 2 years. Moved, that was San Francisco. Then originally from Iowa. Then from San Francisco, I moved to LA. Did not like LA. This is pre-YouTube. And then from LA, I came up to Seattle. I'm like, wow, I really like it. So I moved here and have
mhm,
been here ever since. So, in and throughout, blogging became a thing. So I was like, okay,
yeah,
this makes sense because now we can publish Locker Gnome as a blog, and that it worked. Like everything just worked. Advertising was easier to manage with Google AdSense, and I could write and everything. And then I'd done light video, but then YouTube came along. That's pretty cool. It's easy, but you don't own the content. It's not exactly a blog, but yeah, I kind of messed around with it. I wasn't a big video guy. Never really was, honestly, as weird as that sounds. But then Ustream launched, and Ustream, I'm probably skipping so many other facets, including launching in 2001, I also launched a conference that ran for 10 years. The first of ultimately 3 event series that I ran. I ran or produced Gnome Decks, Vlogger Fair, and then Galaxar. 3 different types of events for 3 different types of things. And
mhm,
I'm not definitely not done with producing events.
yeah,
It's just everything's kind of, it's not priority right now.
mhm,
So I didn't really do a lot of video until Ustream launched. Now this is interesting for Twitch because Ustream launched alongside the Justin TV, and Justin
right,
TV, in case you're wondering, or in case you did not know, is specifically what? Twitch. Justin TV became Twitch. So my account age on Twitch is old. It is approximately 14 years, 8 months old. That's my Twitch account
that's
that I
amazing.
use. So I was there in the early days, but I didn't use Justin as much as I used Ustream. I didn't like the interface. I didn't like how it worked. It just didn't. And then ultimately, Ustream went a different direction. I actually sat on the advisory board for Ustream. It was acquired
Mm,
by IBM, kind of disappeared, but at the same time, YouTube Live took off. And when Ustream took off, that really, it accelerated my video stuff because I love playing to a live audience. I'm not a video producer. I'm not a video creator. I feel I'm a live streamer. That is, if you were to ask me like, what kind of creator are you? Like, well, I'm more of a live streamer than anything else. I live and thrive in live video environments. So so I latched on. I'd record things live to tape, quote unquote, and then upload those clips to YouTube. And this is before YouTube was a thing, and that's why YouTube's got so much crap in it because
yeah,
I did not really have a true focus in my YouTube channel, even back in the day. Like I put a smattering of Lego stuff in there, and tech, and personal stuff, and stupid stuff. Because I mean, as much as I people might have known me for tech, I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't as interesting as it, for me, as it was for other people, at least in the same way.
mhm,
So I for a number of years I did personal vlogs. That's how the Vlogger Fair event series kind of spun out for at least 2 or 3 years. And YouTube, that's why my YouTube channel, as much as you could say, oh gosh, you have a lot of subscribers. No, it wasn't it, you how do I say this? I am not a YouTuber. I upload
right,
to YouTube, but my YouTube channel is dead because the algorithm is never gonna. It's never. It's gonna work the way it needs to work, and unfortunately, that's why a lot of legacy creators dropped because it's a different game. It's a complete. It's a game, and it's not a fun game for me to play. And
mm,
I just like, yeah, I don't know. I'm happier with live streaming. I'm much more satisfied. I can play in front of the camera. That's fine, but I'm not a producer. I'm a streamer, and so most of any kind of produced videos I've done have always, mostly, not always, have been shot live to tape. So I've done it all. I mean, that's the bottom
yeah,
line, is I've done it all. And a few years ago, as the industry was changing, I could not keep up because I was like, I've lost my place. Like people knew me for one thing, but honestly, I'm just bored. I'm bored with the things that people knew me for, and I'm just like, I'm just done. I just don't want to do it anymore.
Hmm.
And that's a problem when what it is you do might be paying the bills. Uh, and
Definitely.
and with the industry changes, I just as much as I try, I struggle to keep up. I had like basically like 4 knockout punches within the course of a year, like knockout, like KO.
Mm.
It was a very the same year my daughter was born was probably one of the worst years of my life. And I don't mean because, my daughter was born. That was I've told her often, like, I'm a creator, but like you're the best thing I ever created. And so it's not that. It was just there were things that happened that I was already fed up with certain things. It was just kind of like it was the straw that broke the camel's back. So for a
Right.
number of years, I backed off, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And then I was like, I love Star Wars. And I'm like, I don't really talk about it as much as I used to. And I'm like, so I became like, all right, I'm just going to throw myself back into Star Wars again. And so I did. And so that's a lot of my social media is dominated by Star Wars because I honestly, I felt I needed something,
Yeah.
not having anything else. And went to work for Intel 3 years ago. Been there working on a top secret project that I can't tell you about, but it's really cool. I'm not joking, not just because
Exciting.
if honestly, if it was a normal role, I'd be like, yeah, I work for Intel. They're good.
They're all
I would
right.
say that, but like, yeah, they're okay. They're good. Yeah, it's good. But what I'm working on is, I'll be honest, I'll be direct, but it's really neat, and I cannot wait, and I hope to be able to bring it to the world. That's my current mission is basically to bring what it is that I've been working on or with a team to the world. But then like got through 2020 and I realized, all I was doing is watch in the evening. All I was doing was watching news or just kind of just waste. I felt like I was wasting time. And I missed when I had my live stream on Ustream, by the way, I didn't mention
Hmm.
this. It was 24/7. I had a live video back
Oh,
in
wow.
2006 that was always on. Microphone might have been up. Sometimes it got muted, but it was always on and it ran 24/7. So people knew me for a 24-hour video stream back. So when people talk about, oh, so and so is doing a 24, I'm like, I okay, I've been there, done that. Like, there's
Right.
not many new things that you can say that, oh, Chris, that surprises you. No, it doesn't.
Right.
So I got through 2020 and, with COVID and all that. And I just like, I need something. I'm like, I'm going to try live video again. Tried it on I kept trying YouTube. And the reason why is because that's where everyone said that they were trying to find me. And I'm like,
Mm.
but YouTube sucks at live video. And don't fight me on this because I will win. YouTube doesn't get live video. They don't get it. They understand that it's there as a feature set, but they don't get it.
Yeah.
YouTube, Google does not understand social media.
Yeah.
They do not understand community. They do not understand it. They don't get it. They're trying and they're
Yeah.
throwing all the features there like, oh, you can live stream on YouTube. Oh, you can, but there it's an option. On Twitch, it's the option.
It's
And
the
because of
option.
that, right, you've got audience expectations as well. No one, I mean, maybe there's 2 people. I go to YouTube to watch live video. No one does that. No one does that.
It's true.
Moreover, no, I stopped subscribing to people on YouTube years ago. The reason why is because they just fed me the algorithm. What's the point? I
Mm.
stopped following people on Instagram. What's the point? They're just going to show me the algorithm.
Mhm.
Twitter's the only one that really hasn't screwed that up, and they almost did, and they had to backtrack. So it's been I've watched all these trends, and I've tried a billion different things seemingly because I wanted to get back into it, and
Mhm.
then I realized, okay, well, let me try. 'Cause I tried Twitch off and on, but I'm like, but I don't do esports, I don't do gaming, and then I realized,
Right.
well, a lot of people are chatting, and I'm like, well, let's see about maybe starting this up on Twitch. So last January, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go live on Twitch. I'm gonna do it every day in the year 2021. And I
Mm.
did, and I've been going every day. I haven't missed a day. I haven't skipped a day. I've live streamed every day since the beginning of 2021.
Yeah.
It's not a 24-hour stream, but every night at 6 p.m. I'm live and chatting and talking and all that stuff. So it quickly became it rekindled that the passion and the interest, and it just gave me a chance to commiserate and go through catharsis if I needed to. Upgraded a few things around here, got into 3D printing, doing talking to people on stream sometimes, but really enjoying my time and realizing I this was something that I was missing. But even then, I as much as I stream, I'm but one channel and one face among a sea of faces and
Hmm.
amazing choices. That who are you going to watch? Because you really, I mean, some people might have 2 or 3 tabs open, but you can only really pay attention to one effectively. Like
Hmm.
that's, I mean, that's just the nature of live video. Like you just can't split your attention.
Right.
So I have, I've been struggling to find my place, maybe not on Twitch, but just this feeling like I might have had in the beginning with the early days of Locker Gnome, where I felt I was doing something that was benefiting other people, even if I wasn't the center of attention. And
Right.
that was the thing Locker Gnome was, right? Or what it grew into. Uh, so I'm always trying new things. I'm an
Hmm.
entrepreneur. I like putting pieces of the puzzle together,
Hmm.
constantly talking to different people. Someone invites me on a stream, I'm happy to do it. Looking at how people use tools, and I did an interview last week with an individual in the 3D printing community known as Pooch. And everybody, by the way, in the 3D printing community that I've met has been great, but they're so nerdy. Like, I'm like, I okay, I'm impressed, but like I have one 3D printer. I know how to use it. I'm dangerous enough to print Beskar steel eggs, but like I'm not. I don't want to geek out like that. I'm not talking about hot ends and I mean the stuff. Yeah, I'm happy because you get to try new filament colors. Like I did
Hmm.
a Rancor. I printed off
Oh,
a
nice.
mounted Rancor head. Right. I mean I can do stuff
Yeah.
like this. This is not.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't model it. Downloaded it. Right. So uh, I, I was having a discussion and it was about networking. And this is something that I've said too, over and over again. I uploaded a few months ago a free, I guess it's an ebook. It's a Google Doc, a Twitch tips, like
Oh,
60
yeah.
tips for Twitch producers. And, yeah, I put it out there. It's still out there. I don't know where you can find it, but it does exist. I, so I put it out there because people kept asking questions. I'm like, well, these are things you got to keep in mind. If you want your channel to grow, you have to go beyond your channel. And it's almost like people don't think this way. They think,
Hmm.
oh, I'm streaming. Everyone's going to come to me. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you might get lucky, but you really got to participate. You got,
That does not happen.
I mean, you could get lucky, but remember, one of the biggest problems on Twitch is discovery, like getting discovered. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why you should raid and you should go outside your community. And that's the thing, it's hard to explain to a Twitch streamers. You got to raid and raid different people and raid outside your community. Don't just raid the people that you know, raid the people that you don't know, because it's a
Hmm.
great way to say hello.
Hmm.
And I've met so many amazing people by raiding into them. Didn't know them from Adam. Lego streamer, 3D printer, crafter, cosplayer.
Hmm.
That's how I've met. So I can't even tell you how many times I've met that, or people raid into me. You've got to spread it out. And I'm not going to say the Lego community has a problem with this on Twitch, but the Lego community has a big problem with this on Twitch. They're too. I'm just saying
Sure.
that you gotta look beyond just the. I get it. I love Lego too. I do.
Yeah.
But if you want to grow, you've got to go beyond, because the only way to get past that, man, I've been streaming, for a year, and like I've got, I haven't hit my goals. I'm like, well, okay, but I'm doing it regularly. I'm checking all the boxes. I'm like, well, where else are you participating? And they're like,
Yeah.
blank face. Like, well,
I mean, which is interesting, right? Because makers and crafters, there's a
but
lot, like even within that umbrella, right, that are not
yeah,
Lego,
oh my god, that's
right?
what I'm saying. It's like, and there's
Exactly.
like I'll rate into a Star Wars streamer, right? And I'm not I don't do Star Wars. I'm sorry if I moved off
No,
center
you're
there.
fine.
Okay. I'm always willing to take a risk. It's just a raid, right? Or it's just to stop by and say
Sure.
hello. You never know. You have to network. You have to build relationships. You have to show up. You have to do that. If you're spending time on your stream, you have to spend time on other people's streams too.
Hmm.
If that's a concern of yours. And
Yeah.
that's a big if, because it may not
Yeah.
be. Like, I just like farting around on Twitch. I'm like, okay. But
Yeah. I
if
was
you
going
start
to say
complaining,
it's so fantastic. This is such a timely thing to bring up, because there's been some discourse on Twitter about stream advice, because there's been this whole thing where there's an argument about, well, what I want to grow, but I want to play whatever games I want, right? That's what a lot of the traditional game streamers are saying. And then you have some veteran streamers on Twitch who are like, well, if you want to grow, you need to kind of figure out your space, and work in that space, but then also kind of be consistent in your content. And it kind of created some discourse with some people saying, well, I just want to play whatever I want. And then there was this whole thing lost in the conversation about, but that's only if you really, really want to grow the channel, right? Like
Right.
that's kind of the caveat that a lot of
Yep.
people are forgetting.
Depends on your goals, right? You
Yeah.
know, and that's everyone's gonna. There's no wrong way to do it, but there
Correct.
are many wrong ways of trying to do what you're trying to do, right? Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're saying I want to grow, well, then what are you willing to do? You know what?
Exactly.
And it may not be upgrading your camera or upgrading your mic. It may be, you know, that you just have to pop out of your own little hole, and
Yeah.
sometimes that means talking to people that are within the same community, and sometimes that means going into one that runs tangentially to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like, you know, wood crafting, right? Or you know, cosplaying, or I'm talking like, you know, the maker metaphor, right?
Right.
Whatever that happens to be, because you know, we are complex creatures and we have many interests, and you never know where they're going to intersect, and that brings together far more stability for a channel than just staying within the same community. And here's why: if all
Mm-hmm.
you're doing is staying within the same community, that's a problem. Here's
Mm-hmm.
why. If you're streaming bricks and that's all you stream, and then someone else starts streaming at the same time as you and they're doing bricks
Mm-hmm.
and that's all they do, and they've got a channel that's bigger than yours and potentially
Mm-hmm.
more quote unquote popular, you've
Mm-hmm.
just lost half your audience to them, because you focus so tightly in and so I'm going to say the word myopically on that one
Sure.
community that it's become. I got to be careful about this using the term, but it, it breeds within itself, if you will. Like you're swimming in the same circles, and you're never going to get. But when you start reaching out,
Sure.
and then you're like, and suddenly a woodworker guy finds you, or like someone who does
Yeah.
astrophotography, suddenly you've got people who don't know and don't follow. So when that happens, and that still happens, you
Yeah.
can still be doing your stuff, but you've got a more diverse group of people that happen to be
Your
watching you,
circle grows a little
you
bit
know,
more.
a little more.
Definitely.
And so that is like, I'm not just like blowing rainbows here. Like it takes it, you've got, if that's your goal,
Sure.
then you've got to understand that you can't keep doing things the same way over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned something here, and I don't know
Exactly.
if Cyberchip is still here, but Cyberchip has been a supporter. There's a few people I recognize in chat, but he'd mentioned another
Mm-hmm.
quote that I've given over the years: "Community is the antithesis of ego," and that's something very important to bring up in the context of Twitch channels, because
Mm-hmm.
we use the word community, and it makes sense because every channel. You get to know people, right? You get to know the
Right.
people who show up. You get to know the people who are, you know, you get to know names. You get to know what they've done. You know, if they've been sick lately or whatever. And that is, it's good, and you're creating that sense of belonging. But the community is bigger than just one channel.
Yeah.
The community. It's like you've got this cult. There's a cult of personality that we all have. I mean, on Twitch, I mean, you're doing one thing and they come to you because of you, the personality.
True.
Maybe it's the feeling of belonging, or the feeling that you provide, or that zone that you've created where they just feel like, you know, they're there, like the Nudo house, right? You know, it's just like the thing, right? Or my play shop. They just feel, okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's that it is a sense of belonging, but it's a sense of belonging within a greater umbrella, because these people are not on Twitch just to see you. And I will argue, if they are, they're not using Twitch right. If you're only on Twitch
Yeah.
to watch one person, I'm sorry, you've like I you don't get it. You
Mm-hmm.
really don't get it, because your life could be enriched in so many ways if you just you try new things, and
Mm-hmm.
this is like, the variety is the spice of life, and you can find people who only do cooking and or DJing or VJing or singing or, you know, drawing or a brick building or whatever it happens to be. But it's still something that you've got to be cognizant of. We're just a part of something bigger.
Yeah.
And that, you know, is I'm clear-headed about this because I've been through it before. And inevitably, community always ebbs and flows. Channel growth is not a metric that I'm necessarily chasing outright, but it's
Of
still
course.
something that I'm like, what is the measure for my success? And I feel too many Twitch streamers, they pin their success metrics on the wrong numbers.
Yeah.
Follower counts, sub counts are nice. Don't get me wrong. How many hype trains they've had? I'm like, well, that's great, but like, what's your channel about, right? Like,
Right.
to me is like, did I do it? Yes, then I was successful.
Yeah.
Was last night better than tonight in terms of, you know, how many bits or subs or gifted subs?
Right.
Yeah, but I still had fun and people had fun. And
Yeah.
that's that feeling that you're giving them, right? The feeling that they walk away with, the feeling
It's
that they know.
the impact, right? Impact over numbers is something that I like to say.
And that's fair.
In determining what's important for you, what that impact means, right?
But it's
different.
not just that. Sorry.
Sure.
I
No,
know.
go ahead. Go ahead.
You should never have invited me on.
No, I want to hear this. This is passion. Keep going.
Well, it's because I've been doing this for a long time, so I know it, and I get passionate about it because I see it. So, in the way and I said this years ago too, I would rather have 10 people watching me, who cared and who wanted to be there, than 100 people who didn't. And that speaks volumes, because I'm not gonna name names, but there are some people that do have a lot of people watching. That's fine, but they're not, the audience is connected, right? It's just the audience isn't connected, right? They're there and it's happening and they're there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's there for a reason, whatever that reason happens to be. But you know, in many ways, part of the value of what you do in your stream is enabling other people to meet each other, right? They connect in chat, like not just because they know each other from other channels, which does happen. I see a lot. I can't give shout outs like right now because I'm kind of in the flow. But it's good to see everybody, suffice to say. I'll do shout outs at the end. Yeah, is that fair? You know, people talk with each other, and that's good. You want that to happen, because if all they're doing is just firing things at the person hosting, it's just like,
no,
it takes
You're missing
away,
the
that
point.
That takes away from the stream, right? What brings value to the stream is not just the person that's facilitating the conversation and driving that conversation, you know, or driving the stream, right? The producer, but the people who are there. And so that's why, you know, it's critical that, like, you got to pay attention to chat, and I mean, I'm guilty. I say, oh, I'm sorry if I missed your comment, because some people get agitated. I'm like, I'm sorry. There was like 30 of them, and then I was doing a brick walk and I couldn't see it. So, I
mean, that happens. Unfortunately,
no, it does happen. People got one person, you know, they didn't make fun of me, but then it happened to them. She's like, oh my God, now I know what happens with Chris. Now I know why Chris does it. How the hell does he keep up?
There's kind of a point.
I'm focused on that, right?
There's a point that you hit where, you know, it's just simply difficult to keep up with everything.
And that's I gotta say, as far as Twitch goes, we have not really had to turn on slow mode yet. It is conceivable it could very well happen, and it's fine. People can still say what they're going to say, but they just have to be more calculated, right? And I still would drive, you know, that conversation. It's just, I want to make everyone feel like they can also talk to each other, not just me. So this is where, you know, the discovery problem, the community issue, all these things, this is what has led me to this past week launch MakerDeck on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically solving the problem of discovery. It's solving the problem of being able to network, and where do you find these other people, you know, apart from raids and staying insular. You know, who's going to come, are they only interested in one thing, or are they interested in many things? And basically creating something, because I can't stream 24/7, but I can facilitate up to 10 other people streaming simultaneously. And so that's what we've done. And it's given me, in the 3D printing or maker space, all I've been is kind of I'm not a sideshow, but like I fart around with the 3D prints and mess around. I don't do anything terribly serious. I'm just goofing around. I mean, I know I should take it more seriously, but I'm not geeking out about the hardware and everything. But I still feel like, you know, where's my place in that? Because I don't educate necessarily as much as others do. I don't entertain with information as much as others do. I'm not into the hardware. Like, so these are all the things I'm not. Well, what am I? Okay, here's what I am. And so now, with the launch of MakerDeck on Twitch this week, I finally have my place within the community. I don't build models, I print them. You know, I don't necessarily get all the models, but certainly they get promoted, right? So now I have a place. Now I have now I have that thing that to be able to be the spearheading a community effort that taps into the greater community and brings in people making whatever it is, because there's no rules. It's like, hey, Chris, you know, do you mind if I paint a miniature? I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. Hey, let's throw that up there. You know, whatever. Like, are you making? Are you doing something? You know, or original? Are you're having this activity that's somewhat mesmerizing that people like zoning out, that you don't want to have the stress of listening, because the MakerDeck, the stream, you could have running on a second screen constantly, on a TV constantly muted, because there's no audio. That's the rules. You don't, at this stage, maybe at some point we'll do like scheduled stuff, but right now it's just a music bed, no talking, no faces, no talking. Focus on the activity, because it's something that you can have, again, anybody can have in the background.
Sure.
So that way, when you go live, they can have it, or anybody else goes live, they can have it on a second screen and still watch both and still be entertained by both. So it solves a few problems, you know, several times over, in terms of what I was hoping that I would eventually be able to stumble into. And you only get to that point when you iterate and you challenge and you try and you break and you fail. I feel, just after the first 48 hours, I feel that the one limitation of what we're doing, it doesn't scale well on time. I definitely have spent a lot of time with it, because it's got to be manually babysitted. And my moderator, Pez Liz, an old friend I've met, probably my best friend, and I've told her that too. We met, I guess we met 7 years ago. And she's honest with me and direct with me, and she's been great support in more ways than one. So she's been helping also facilitate, because we have to manually go in and admit people in, because we send a StreamYard link out to keep people that, you know, you get a little, you get a maker handle in the our Discord server, so that way you get the information. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, we know you. All right, you can be trusted, or all right, you're kind of on probation because we don't really know you, but let's see how this goes. Anybody, you know, has a chance to participate, whether they have a Twitch channel or not, and in the same stream. Like, it's just, no, I have not. What's exciting about this, I have not seen someone do that with anything else. And so to be able to do that for the wide umbrella of makers, crafters, right? The people who are building, whether they're doing, like, maybe they're doing soldering, right? Maybe they're putting together a keyboard. They're doing this kind of activity that's under that umbrella of science, technology, maker, crafting. Or these two umbrellas, right? And discovery, right? Imagine someone's doing a keyboard. Like, dude, where do you stream? Yeah, I stream over here. You know, so they get a follower by cross-pollinating, you know, by that cross-pollination. So, you know, I feel right now that the biggest limitation is not just time. We're only 48 hours in, but people not knowing about it yet. So I'm certainly interested in finding people who want to be drug in for whatever reason. You know, hey, Chris, would you mind if I do X? Yeah, come on. Yeah. If we got an open spot, sure, why not? Things that are very you know, activity oriented, certain, like the hands-on kinds of activities,
of course,
or those activities that are otherwise just mesmerizing rather than just boredom, right? So yeah, so that's why I'm not saying I come full circle, but why it's exciting for me is because it gives me something to do on Twitch that's not about me. And my channel is about me. It's Chris Pirillo. Hey, this is what you get. I'm going to be eating cereal on Saturdays. I geek out, love tripping nostalgic, blah, 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 blah. Love collecting toys, yada, yada, yada. But like, that's just me. And like, you can't scale that. Yeah, that doesn't, people like it, but like, I needed something more to throw myself into. And this is the thing that just feels right. And certainly the more people who find, more diverse array of makers that find out about it and participate and share it, the better it gets, right? It just doesn't get watered down. It just gets better. You could do it. Anybody could do what this is, but let me tell you, having done community before, it's easier than it looks, and it's a massive time commitment, especially in the early days.
Isn't that what creating usually is, at least on the streamer front or any kind of content creation? It always looks easier than it ends up being, right? Especially the good creators, right? They make it look quite effortless, and until, you know, someone comes along, they say, oh, I really want to do that too, and then they kind of don't see all the things that are the underlying labor of work, all
right.
behind
you
the
never want to know
stuff.
how the sausage is made, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I found myself as a creator, and to a certain degree a streamer, because like I said, what used to be easy is now difficult. What used to be difficult is now easy.
Right.
I found myself, I was not able to keep up with the trends. I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, as much as I can stream, everybody's streaming. Okay.
It's
So like,
true.
that's not a unique
And
thing.
more and more people every day too.
Ongoing. I'm like, so I can't do that. I
Hmm.
can't speak intelligently to this. I can't produce video because I don't know the subject. I can interview, but how many freaking interview shows are, this is not a slag. I've interviewed before.
I was
But you know
gonna
what I'm
say,
saying?
you're on another one. Here
But
we are.
but I love doing it. I love doing it. I'll do it. I've told people, you ever want me on your, you wind me up. You gotta, you can't stop me once I start talking, which is why I'm a great person to do things on Twitch. I have no problem with it. The problem is all the competition. The competition is attention.
Sure.
It's that there's so much to pay attention to, that people are very calculated with their time. So I was trying to solve that problem for myself. I was trying to resolve that missing piece, that I lost in my heart years ago
Yeah.
when my passion project basically died. Or as I told my wife at one point, I said, imagine if I basically lost a child. I lost a child. The thing that I took care of, that I tended for 20 years, basically abandoned me. Like it died. It's dead. Like the thing that basically brought me all the things that I've found in life, from a career to opportunities to money and revenue and paying bills, it ceased. Effectively, it ceased to exist, and I
Hmm.
had to make hard choices that I didn't want to make. You asked me this, Chris, would you want to go work for a company? My answer is probably no. I don't think anybody really sets out to do that.
Right.
But I'm also finding that by working, I'm at a company, uh, I'm gaining new skills, and I'm gaining a better understanding, and I'm learning things new, and I'm learning what I want and what I don't want. So I'm benefiting from the experience,
Good.
as much as they're benefiting from me being there for the things that I do. So I've been able to apply my mentality, my approach differently. I've been able to use my skills differently than I was, because I kept running into the wall trying to continue to do the things that used to work. You can't. Things are different, man.
Hmm.
The internet is different, and you can't. It's going to keep changing.
Yeah.
Just because it's working for you today on Twitch does not mean it's going to work a year from now. And that's the thing you got to understand. You got to understand.
Yeah.
Things may be easy going. They may be a struggle now, and let me tell you, it could get easier and it can get worse.
Yeah. Let's
So,
let's unpack that, right? Like with everything that you've done over the years, how many times have you had to switch gears?
Oh God, plenty.
Yeah.
Iterate. I wouldn't say switch gears. I think iteration.
Sure.
And by the way, the questions you're asking, what I'm saying, if you want to know what my streams are, what I'm doing right now, I could easily do. I could do it on my stream. And I've
Yeah.
done it before. I've talked about these things and gone into it when someone
Yeah.
sets me off or someone gets me on a topic. I'm like, well, this
Sure.
is why I think what I think. So it's not just me, again, farting around. Sometimes I get very serious
You do.
very, especially when people, they want to know. And I'm happy to share that information, because if I can be a part of someone's journey,
Yeah.
that's it makes me happy. Although it makes me frustrated when, and this has happened before, I've been a part of people's journey in the beginning, and then they take off like a bat out of hell. I'm like, I was there
Oh
in the
yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
I remember when you remember me. That was
Yeah.
fun times, wasn't it? Yeah. So I mean, but just being a part of
that
the journey.
speaks that speaks to like you just said about iteration, as you make content,
iteration.
things continue to change, and I would definitely like to speak to that fact where not only do you evolve as a creator, if you do this long enough, not only will your content take on different forms over the time that you're doing it, but the people involved in the journey may or may not be there depending on what's going on. And it's an ever shifting thing. And if you do content creation long enough, you'll see a lot of different versions of yourself and of your content and then of your community.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, I can't even, like I said, I got burnt out. Like people still to this day, it's insipid when someone comes in, hasn't talked to me in 10 years and says, hey, what phone do you get? What do you think of the new iPhone? I'm like, I don't care. I don't. On the average day, I genuinely don't. The sun does not rise and set based upon my smartphone choice.
I've heard that a couple times in your stream, actually.
Just wait until someone pops in. It hasn't talked to me in 20 years about tech TV. I gloss over that so quickly because I'm tired of it. I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of being I'm a person, damn it. Pardon my friend. Oh my God. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
I usually do family friendly streams, and sometimes I stretch that boundary.
That's okay.
But it's so frustrating because people have frozen me in a moment of time that happened 20 years ago and ask if I still remember. I'm like, do I look like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day? No, my life has moved on. Sorry, I've not been cryogenically frozen, only to have been unfrozen the moment that you remembered I'm not dead.
Yeah.
And it's just like, they don't mean to come across in a very dehumanizing way, but it dehumanizes. Like, yeah, it's great. We had great moments, but it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I've moved on.
I mean,
there are some people who would live, sorry, there are some people who have lived in that moment and they would just be living in the past. I'm like, dude, do I look like I want to be pathetic? I'm not going to live in the past, dude. I gloss right over it, dude.
I'm so curious though about your stance and thoughts on parasocial relationships as a streamer, right? Like when you get this audience, when you get this group of people who, like you said, it's a cult of personality, right? Where they kind of get really into whatever creator they're viewing at the time, or they're talking to or watching, and they kind of establish kind of this closeness that they think that they have with you, and then maybe they drift out of your streams for a while, but they come back. Hey, do you remember me?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
thoughts on parasocial relationships and how to navigate that as a creator.
It's realistic, and some people say, I'm sorry, I haven't watched, and I'm like, I'm like, I mean, I care, but I don't care. Like, you've got a life. There's more than one thing to do on the internet. I'm not like, my ego is not crushed because you didn't like my video. Okay. I don't live and die. So, I mean, I try to play it off like, dude, be realistic. So here's the problem. I'm nostalgic.
Yeah.
And like I said,
yeah.
And this is a great conversation. These are the types of things that I talk about, even with someone not asking me. These are the types of things that all the time in my stream, I'm talking about this kind of stuff.
I know. That's why I wanted you on here.
It's good. I love just pouring my thoughts out, right? So because like I said at the beginning, like I like the streams that give me a chance for catharsis, right? And just processing and being potentially vulnerable, right? So the problem when people remember me from a TV show that ran 2 decades ago is A, my life's moved on.
Right.
B, I genuinely don't care. I don't think about it. I don't talk to those people. It was a moment in time that was fun. I loved it. I'd do it again in a heartbeat, but it doesn't mean the same thing to me. Now, when I talk about Star Wars and having grown up with like vintage Star Wars figure, this means something to me, but this is a piece of plastic.
Right.
I'm not. This is a piece of plastic. I'm not. And people don't recognize that. They see me as a part of their nostalgia and growing up. That's awesome. I'm glad I was a part of your journey. Hey, you inspired me to do X, Y, and Z. That's awesome. But I'm not talking about that right now. I really don't want to. I don't want to rehash that.
Right.
Past. I really don't, because and the funny thing is when people start watching me on Twitch, it's funny at first. Like when someone jumps in, oh, that's kind of weird. But when I told this to Liz last night, I said, I think people who watch me on Twitch finally understand my frustration when some rando jumps in and mentions 20 seconds that happened 20 years ago, because I predict, I said, I kind of stepped away from this for a while because it was a little, I didn't mean to admonish them, but like inevitably when someone jumps into my stream and says, I remember from 20 years ago, Tech TV, blah, 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 they never come back ever. And there are rare exceptions, but they never come back. So I've already written them off. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. But cool. Yeah, we're talking about this tonight.
It's kind of weird, right?
It doesn't matter. Even if I placate them, even if I say, oh, thank you. Like they may come around, but I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how much they say. I'm like, they're never coming back. People have seen it over and over and over again, to the point where I really do. I've never asked them, like, do you understand now why when someone mentions it, I roll my eyes and go, oh God, this again, because it doesn't go anywhere. It means nothing to me. It means something to them. And I try to be respectful. I try to be respectful to that. It means something to them. And so I'm like, okay, cool. That's so cool. I'm so glad to have been a part of your journey. That's awesome. Tonight we're moving on. And it's just like acknowledge and move on. Like it's just like hug and separate. Right. So I want to make it very clear that, I have my boundaries. I have boundaries, and I have boundaries with everybody. And some people feel that they can control me because they cheer or they tip or whatever. I'm like, I appreciate it. And I always say I appreciate it. I love it. Thank you. Honestly, it helps pay the bills because it ain't cheap with the electricity, apparently, that I learned. I was like, I got a lot of stuff apparently that's going on here. and it only spikes at night when I'm streaming. So I appreciate it, but just because they've done something for you does not, it's not a what do they, what's the phrase, like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. There's like this they think there's an implicit contract where you have to do that. You
they feel
are
a
now
bit
my
entitled
puppet.
because
Right.
they've
And I'm like,
followed, sub,
right,
cheered,
that's
whatever.
great. Thank you, and I appreciate that support, but I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not. I don't work. I'm working now. How do you say it in such a way that, like, dude, wake the F up, grow up. Like, I'm not your puppet. I'm not.
Right. I think that's I know what you're doing here. I know what you're
puppet.
Yeah.
Get a puppet.
No, I think that's a very incredible point to make, because, and actually we haven't really touched on that here on this show much, but this is something that a lot of creators often end up dealing with, where they build up a community, they build up a following, and some of those are incredibly supportive in a lot of different ways, whether it's just by showing up every single stream, or if it's subbing or tipping or what have you. But then sometimes there comes that whole entitlement, or that feeling like, hey, I'm your biggest supporter, you need to do what I ask. And that's really not how it works, right? Boundaries are important.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is they need to be corrected, and I have no problem. There have been people who have stepped out of line inadvertently,
right?
Either with me or they've done it in other channels. And we had this incident actually this past week when I launched MakerDeck. We had an individual who's he's awesome. I mean, he's awesome. Like, I love the guy, and I really do, because he shows up, he's there, and he does not have, I don't think he's got a malicious bone or intent in his body. But it's because I know him and his personality, and he did something in another channel where the moderator wasn't aware of his personality, and he was out of line. And I had to stop. I stopped the flow. I'm like, well, wait a minute, you shouldn't have done that, dude. You can't. It's not proper Twitch etiquette to do a couple things. One, you don't go into someone else's stream and spam another person's stream without permission. That's one. You just don't. Even if you're excited, you can ask about it maybe, but you don't. Some people are more sensitive to that stuff, and it depends on how well you know the host, right? If you know the host well, you can ask them, like, did you see, what such and such is up to, any thoughts on, and it could be innocent, but it could be taken the wrong way. Another thing in Twitch etiquette that you don't do is you don't jump into someone's stream. Like, let's say, okay, so we got Zach Rutledge, and is it Core Bob here, and Brick Girl is 612. I got a Panfred Nudo still here, Cyberchip, and Pez Liz, and I'm sorry, I'm Scotty Rotten, and I'm probably missing Upstate Dave, AZ Pinoy. The one thing you don't do is say in chat, people have done it. They don't necessarily, I've seen them do it in other people's streams and get called out, but I don't think it really happens with me. Okay, Chris, I'm out. I'm gonna go watch Zach now. Don't say it. Shut up. Shut up. That's great. That's cool. But guess what? Zach's doing his thing. I'm doing mine. I love Zach. It's Zach's doing all.
Yeah.
Dude, pull up Zach. If you want to do that,
great. Do it.
Don't
please
tell me. I don't need to know that. And I'm commiserating with other. Y'all get it. You all understand this problem.
Yeah.
So I told him that too. I'm like, don't announce it. We don't need to know. Just do it. We'll know. We'll figure it out. That's cool. I don't care, dude. And because I'll say, I'm like, that's great. I shout him out all, like, I'll mention, oh, so-and-so Zach was, he's giving away a PS5 or whatever, or, so-and-so is doing such and such. I have no problem saying it. Someone jumps into the stream, shout out to Amor. Have no problem doing it. It's just when you say you're not as interesting as this other person right now, it's literally peeing in my Cheerios. It's like you literally yanked the bowl out of my hand and started peeing in my Cheerios. What the, dude? Okay, seriously. Okay, so anyway, I had to go.
I think, well, I had a friend equate it to like, you're hanging out in a stream and it's kind of like you're at a house party, right?
Yeah.
But then you go to leave. You go to leave and you're like, hey, I'm going to go over to Zach's party. I'll see you all later. And it's like, Okay, like I get it. I will 100% support all the friends of the channel and
And I
community.
do. Yeah, I do. It's just it's very distasteful. It's like it's not, and it's unintentional. They mean well. They're saying bye. All you got, the reason the lurk command exists, the reason you go bang lurk is like, okay, you're popping out. Cool. I don't need to know where you're going. I don't need to know what you're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't need to know that you're thinking that whatever it is not
yeah,
maybe is in, or you spend enough time with me, because
yeah,
I appreciate the time that you spent with me. So I'm not being ungrateful. I'm
yeah,
just saying it's just not, there are better ways of doing it,
yeah.
and instead of just saying it, just do it. Don't tell me, just do it.
Exactly.
So yeah, anyway.
No, I think that's a fair point. Twitch etiquette is one of those things where you just kind of learn. And I mean, you made this point earlier where it's really like you may end up with a streamer who is, like they may not care, or it's just kind of weird for them. You don't really
Yeah,
know
yeah,
unless you're familiar with the community.
it's a gut punch, really. I mean, if you have like 1 billion people watching you, okay, you're gonna go watch someone else, no big deal. But if you're fighting, if you're struggling to maintain engagement with the people who are watching now, and then someone does that, it's just like it's like you're holding a balloon, they go
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, really?
Yeah.
Did you have to do that? So yeah.
Since we're on the topic of like Twitch etiquette and things that a lot of people I think learn over time, and I know this is actually part of your Google Doc that you made for new Twitch streamers.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Feel free to link it too. I think it's like, oh yeah.
Do you
Feel free to
have the
link
link?
it.
If you,
I
I'll
do.
put it
Yeah.
in all the description.
Yeah.
But if
Sure.
if while we're here, what are some of the most common pieces of Twitch etiquette that you would throw at people who are getting familiar with Twitch or getting setting up their community? Like rapid fire, if you got a couple pieces that you think people should know, where would you start?
For what exactly?
Just like things people should know about Twitch.
Oh God, this is
if
why.
If you're gonna,
yeah, that's why I wrote the
that's why you wrote the document.
Tips. You're on borrowed time, right? You're doing something, but keep in mind you're not the only person. So seriously, as much as we're our faces, we're doing this, you kind of got to check your ego at the door. Like there are a billion other things to be paying attention to. And the fact that anybody cares to pay attention to you is awesome. Like 1 person, 10 person, 100, doesn't matter. Like the fact that they're spending time with you, time is the most precious thing you have.
Sure.
Spend it wisely. Again, spend as much time streaming as you might connecting with other people on Twitch, because the only way you're going to grow is supporting other people, right? Figure out your place. And then continue to understand that you're going to have to upgrade, and you may not have the best mic, and you may not have the best light, and you may not have the best camera, but you know what? I've seen some very popular streamers with absolute garbage production.
Oh man,
and I've seen some,
it happens.
Well, but I've seen correspondingly like amazing production, but squat for like engagement.
Their content and engagement
like,
sucks.
There's nothing. So you scale into it, right? Improve, iterate, change, and recognize what works for your community. Double down on that. Recognize what works for you. Double down on that. And it's a learning process, right? It's being steady. It's connecting. It's not just existing on Twitch, because like, okay, you're just on Twitch. Are you on Twitter? Do you have a TikTok strategy? And you might not. Instagram, wherever you happen to live, like live there, and because you've got to connect with these creators off platform as well, especially because when Stay Alive 7 goes live, or just someone goes live and they're doing something, like let's say more you're like you're doing this, you're building up to an amazing giveaway, right? I'm not saying you have or have not, but I'm saying if I knew that you were giving away a Death Star or something, like whoa, that's something that I would definitely want to promote. And so if I knew you did something on Twitter, I'm like, yeah, I would absolutely retweet that. Like, sure, yeah. I'd support that. Like, it doesn't take anything away from me. And if someone watches and catches on and latches on, it's great. I don't like giveaways. I'll say that. And I know a lot of people do them. Mm-hmm. I do them as well. I have regular giveaways, but the caveat is I like giveaways when I'm rewarding the people who show up. Mm-hmm. Not for giveaways. Some people only show up for giveaways, and that's where you find the engagement, or the quote unquote community really isn't. Like it's it's give me something free, and I'm like, that's not really a community. It's and I get it, because I do it. I'm like, that's fine, but the beauty is I actually had more people tuned in on Thursday, not a giveaway night, than I did last night on Friday. Could have been because of competition, right? A lot of other people splitting their attention.
Sure.
But one of the reasons I set up MakerDeck to lead that community is, hey, you can watch 2 streams at once, whether it's me and that or somebody else in the stream. So I'm like, okay, that's a win-win scenario where at least I have a chance to continue to be connected with these people. So it's understanding that when you do a giveaway, I hope you're rewarding the right people. I really do. And I know it's a great community builder, but it also tends to attract the wrong people. And I'll call people out too. Oh, you joined. I don't recognize your handle. Like, I don't, it's not, you're not new here. I'm like, I hope you're not here just for the giveaway.
It certainly artificially inflates the size of the,
but it does. I mean,
the viewership.
But I get it. I do it. It's just, I do it not because I have to, but because I'm doing what I can to reward the right people. And there's a greater chance of me rewarding the right people than the wrong people. So that's my big caveat for giveaways. People do it, no problem. I have no problem with them. Just recognize that it may attract people, but it may attract people that they'll follow you, but they're never coming back. Right. They're never coming back. They're pointless. It's pointless. You've rewarded the wrong person. I've rewarded the wrong people too many times. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather double down and figure out how to reward the right people. And you have to be careful because of laws and all that crap. And some people, it just leaves a bad taste in the mouth, you know, if they feel it's rigged or whatever. I know sometimes it's a joke, but yeah, giveaways I don't think are a great way to win over an audience. I think a great way to win over an audience is show up, is participate, is to be there, not just when you're streaming, but especially when you're not.
Yeah. So, who do you watch on Twitch when you're not streaming?
Oh God, where do I jump in and out. I do jump out in and out. I've been seriously, work has had me so tied down because during the day I've got like no time, like at all. So my only time really, and then at 6 p.m., which by the way, it's 5:15 right now Pacific. At 6 p.m., I go live on Twitch. So I basically have maybe some breaks in between the weekend potentially or that 1 hour when I'm not live, because that's it. So sometimes it's just who's on, right? And like, who's in the sidebar? Like, what are they doing? I'll pop in, I'll see what they're doing. And I'll often just, as long as, hey, how you doing? Maybe have some fun back and forth, but I mean, making the rounds, and that's as much as I can do, because I, you know, and so, you know, I don't want to call anybody out, because there are some people that I don't catch. That's the problem. There are people that I follow, like, either you're streaming at the same time I am, and then I'm burnt at the end of the stream, and I have no energy, because you know what it's like at the end of the stream. Or I'm spending time preparing for something else. So when I have that chance, when I have that opportunity, I wish I could do it more. I'll say that. I wish I could do it more. And the more people I meet, the more it kind of gets stretched out. I will say this. I do keep an eye, and mentally, like, these are the people that I know. These are the people who didn't disappear. These are the people who might pop in on my stream. So I do my best. And I know I miss people, and I feel bad. I'm like, I'm trying to do everything, but like, this is not the only thing I can do. And just finding that crossover, which again is one of the reasons I use Twitter. So it's a chance for me to at least further engage when I see something there, because there's so much going on. But I just, I don't know. I don't really know. Off the top of my head, because it changes so often. Because I could look at my sidebar and say, yeah, I talk to such and such. I do so and so. Because as soon as I name names, this is the problem. As soon as I bumped the table. As soon as I name names, I'll forget someone, and that's the worst thing I could, because I'd feel so bad. Oh, I didn't say that, and I should have said so and so, and I didn't say such and such.
No worries.
I do pop into the Brick streamers frequently. I do skew potentially more to the Star Wars stuff, and maybe not as frequently. Lately I've been watching more, it ebbs and flows, but more of if someone's 3D printing, I'll pop in, because I know that they're also very prolific in my channel. Like, I want to be able to support them.
Yeah, definitely.
I like raiding people that I know. Yes. But when there's an opportunity to raid someone that's got 3 viewers, I'll do that more frequently than raiding someone with like 70. And the reason why is because it's a big impact. No problem. I've done it before. I'm like, hey, we haven't raided such and so and so.
You've done it for me.
Let's go ahead and do that. Right. I mean, like, but there's so many people to raid, right? So you gotta balance. Like, okay, so such and such, they're usually not on at this time, blah, 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 blah. Or like last night. So last night's a classic example. I said, there's a few people that are streaming tonight, but who else is out there? Do you know someone that I don't know? Someone made a recommendation. We rated them. He was printing a sword, 3D printing like a sword. And it was really cool. He was really engaging, had no idea. He jumped right in. He immediately, not only did he immediately, he was just deeply engaged, really like just totally with it. So he totally understood, like had maybe a couple people watching, but like, man, I know he got new followers. Those are the raids I love.
Mm-hmm.
Just juice the people that need that boost, right? That really need that, like that extra oomph. And hopefully they use that. Not
Mm-hmm.
only did he do that, he started following me. And then after his stream, he joined MakerDeck, not just followed MakerDeck, but he actually started streaming his sword print into MakerDeck.
That's
Like
awesome.
he actually, so I was like, and MakerDeck didn't raid him, right? Like it was,
Yeah.
but we were talking about it, and it was incredible, and just out of the blue. So just I like being able to support the people who have been supportive, but
Of
of course,
course.
conversely, I also want to bring up the others who may not have found their footing yet, or may not have found, maybe their production is not great, maybe their conversation is not great, but you know what? All
Yeah.
right, let's gamble. Let's roll the dice. We'll do it once. We'll see where it goes. So like I said, it's difficult for me to say what I watch at any given time.
Sure.
It's dictated by what am I interested in? Am I interested in this kind of stream? Am I interested in another kind of stream? Have I not said hello in a while? Do I have the time? What time? How much time do I have? And where am I going to get? Where's that attention going to go?
Yeah.
So
A
yeah,
lot of
I'm not going to call
factors.
it.
A lot of
Yeah,
factors.
I'm serious. It is
It
complex, and
is.
the more people that I follow, the more difficult that is.
Yep.
Because sometimes I'd rather jump into someone's stream that's got 4 people watching because no one's chatting, to be able to say,
Yeah.
hey, that's really cool. Sorry I can't stay, but keep up the good work.
Keep it up.
Just to say hello, because that means a lot. It means a lot to anybody when anybody participates. But to be able to just help the people that may need it a little more, I will say my scale tips that way. Because those are one of the reasons, because it's Twitch, it's discovery, right?
Yeah.
It's knowing, like, is this a person that I might want to rate at some point in the future? Is this someone who's been supportive of me and shows up? Well, then I'm going to see, what they're all about. Like, I want to see, learn a bit about them,
Right.
and find out, how, find out what they're doing. Is that going to inspire me? When I'm looking for something new. It's a mix. It really is a mix.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who is still finding their footing? Who is
Keep going. Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, because you're gonna fail more times than you're gonna succeed. And there's, just because you had a bad night last night doesn't mean tonight has to be a bad night. Every day is different. Every stream is different. It's gonna be a different dynamic. Someone else is gonna show up. It may be amazing, or it may suck. As much as I've found successes in life, I've probably failed more than not. I've done a lot of projects in my life, a lot. I've done events. I've launched different kinds of websites back when that was a thing. I've tried different things in social media. I've tried different tactics with content. Like, I've done a lot, and I've done things not as well as I could have done. And I had to wait for the industry to catch up to do certain things that I wanted to do. And it's so you cannot, if you're getting comfortable, something's wrong. Like, because you've got to, you kind of have to challenge yourself and push yourself ever so slightly. Like, I'm getting a little bored. All right, well, that's a sign. Don't get bored. What else are you going to do? What else could you do? And then learning from that, like, what works and what doesn't. One of the reasons I don't do a lot of Lego brick building in most of my streams is because I've found that a lot of the people that might be watching that I am highly engaged with zone out. And I'm like, it takes, as much as I enjoy it, sometimes, unless I've got, like, hey, I really want to put together this set, I've been looking forward to it, I go with the smaller sets, right?
Totally.
And I tend to plow through them, right? Because Lego's not my focus. So, and I understand why people love it. Trust me, I get that. But I realize that it's not as valuable for the people who are there. And if they're zoning out, it's telling me that either A, I've got to find more people, and the people that are going to enjoy that offshoot every so often, but not all the time. And or maybe not do it as much as I might have otherwise, because to me, the value of that time is the time that they're spending with me. That's my approach. That doesn't mean that's everybody's.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
definitely.
what, because I'm not going to be a brick. I'm not going to be a brick streamer. It's not something I couldn't. I'm interested, but I couldn't do Lego every day. I would enjoy it immensely. Where am I going to put it? How much money is that going to cost? Like, is that as interesting as something else? And I can only pay attention to so many
those
things
are
at once.
definitely things a lot of brick streamers deal with.
You know what I'm saying? But now this is the value. So Chris Pirillo has that problem. But with MakerDeck, all of a sudden now all I got to do is to like I said, I'm open to experimenting and throwing someone brick building, just
Sure.
their hands or whatever, and almost doing like what Set to Build does, where you never see, he's just always his hands, right? I'm just shouting out names, right?
Sure.
But like I'm just thinking that concept because I do that too. I have a close-up camera, and that's very much a making process. So I still have a chance to do Lego, but just in a different setting, right? Rather than the one that has kind of been built up around a very intellectual is the wrong word when it comes to me, but like a very conversational.
I think that's what's really cool though, even just within like not just makers and crafting, but even within the brick building community, because you do have some folks that are like Set to Build who'll have the camera in close, just the build. They're talking about the build, but you'll also have people like Panfred Nudo, right? He's hanging out, he's talking, he's more conversational. On the conversational side, he's still building. He's talking about the build. Honestly,
then you got Zach, who never builds anything.
No bricks get connected. But like, I consider myself kind of like closer to the Fred side, where like the build is there. We talk about the build maybe every so often, but I'm really not unlike you talking about, the latest episode of whatever I'm watching at the time, or whatever subject or topic that comes up. So it's certainly what's really cool about MakerDeck. It does afford for people who want to see the thing getting made, created, or built, whatever it might be. That's perfect for that. Definitely.
You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you on that.
All right,
there's a whole. I think what's great is there's a whole spectrum of like ways that us creators can build that content, whether it's even like on the scope of those of us who are not gaming streams, like whether we're creating or building or having a talk show. There's also those different levels of builders who building's the focus, or building is secondary while we chat about whatever we're doing. So
right
wonderful thing across the Twitchiverse. But yeah.
So I see a question I'd like to answer, but how are we doing on time?
We're doing pretty good. Actually, let's address the question that you'd like to. Yeah.
So Have Studs Will Travel asks what makes a bad night. I think that depends on everybody. Sometimes it's the attitude you bring into it. I think if I walk away feeling worse than I did when I was sitting down, that's a bad night.
Right.
If I feel dejected, it's rare. Usually I'm more energized after a stream than usually I'm like really tired when it starts, but then it just kind of picks up steam and it snowballs. So a bad night is when I feel worse when I get up, but it's so rare. It's so rare that happens. It does, but yeah, that'd be a bad night for me.
I actually would echo that. It's certainly for me, it's the bad nights are really the ones where I feel like there's not a lot of discussion or people wanting to engage.
Right.
I haven't been there in a long time, but I certainly, those are the bad nights for me. And I'm one of the folks who and I think you would agree. I turn off every number possible that you could see on your dashboard, because I try not to look at those things, because I think for some, especially some others, it messes with their ability to run the stream. So yeah. Let's see. Now that you've pretty much been through this and you've sat through one of these discussions, who would you like to see go through something like this in the future on this show?
Well, I think oh god, there's so many people. Why do you got to do this to me?
Just because you missed some, that's okay. I'm just saying, if there's any that you're like, I would love to see that,
like people to talk to.
Yeah, like to guest on this show.
Oh, sorry, my ears were sweaty.
No worries.
A horrible guest.
Not at all.
Oh man, who? God. Why you gotta do this to me, man? I'm like, I got all these faces in my head, and I'm like, yeah, but like, who would be like a really good,
So we've
Oh,
had Pan Fred Nudo, we've had
yeah.
Zach M. Rutledge, we've had AZ Pinoy. Uh, let's see.
So
Next week is I'm Bored Toys,
oh yeah.
which will be a future guest.
Are you thinking like brick people?
I mean, because you're so connected, I'm totally fine with anyone in the makers and the makers and crafters.
Well, right. And you're already connected to like, people like Jang. He's fun. He's got a fun stream.
Yeah.
Bricks O'Brien.
Yeah.
He's also fun. And Bricks O'Brien, I see darn near everywhere as well. And he's very supportive.
He was on episode 3.
Okay, so sorry.
No, you're fine.
So you've already see, that's some things you've already probably talked to him. God, who's got a good story? Well, like there are people like see, I feel bad because I'm going to leave people out.
That's okay.
Dude, you're saying that's okay, but it's always a wrong word. It's no, not that guy, not that person. Who does? Why do you gotta do this to me?
I'd love to see Loyal Moses on here sometime.
That could happen. I'm trying to think of people that you would not know though.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
This is part of my way of discovering other people to bring on to this show.
Well, I'm trying to think of anybody who's build tangential, right?
Mm-hmm. Understandable.
Yeah. Stay Alive 7 is pretty fun. He does 3D printing. He does Star Wars stuff. He does SOTOR gaming primarily, but the fact that he started 3D printing again recently, which is really awesome. And I see him in a lot of communities, but I think he does a lot of cross pollination. Stay Alive 7. He's a good conversationalist, really good stream, solid stream, solid production. There's you gotta do this to me, don't you?
I've seen Subsector 3D put out there, Sith Lord Brit as well.
Yeah, Brit. I was gonna say Subsector 3D actually, but I was like, well, it depends. She's a huge Trekkie. For sure. Here's a good one. She goes, what's her handle? She does rocks. She's a geologist on Twitch, and she goes by the handle. Oh, dude, I've not seen her streaming in a while. But she's like just amazing. It's just this astounding, incredible geologist, and she goes by. Oh God, what's her name? Oh, what's the? I'm giving you like I suck now. I'm like, dude, what's her name? What's her handle? Okay, everybody, who's the geologist? Who is the geologist that I'm thinking of? I'm crowdsourcing here.
There you go.
I'm trying to remember. It's gonna come to me in the middle of the night too. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta message you.
I'll get it. Yeah, I'll get a Discord message in the middle of the night.
Yeah, like it's such and such. It's so and so. There's certainly a wide array of people.
There's a lot of people
in the 3D printing community. One of the more knowledgeable people. I wouldn't call him like as like knee deep in Twitch. There are a lot of knowledgeable people in the 3D printing community, but I'm trying to think of those that strike that balance between the Twitch interaction, but also like heavy knowledge, and it plays differently. There's who's been doing it for a while here. Human Juke is really fun. He's a musician. And he actually plays songs like on the stream and creates songs on the stream. I like tuning into those. There's what's her name? She cooks. It's before I forget, Sid Heresy jumps out. He also builds electronics and music and does soldering. He's fun. Cool. And then there's oh God, what's her name? Stacy Roy. She does cooking.
Oh yeah,
and cooking. I mean, she's really interesting. She's very I've never seen. She's always energetic. She puts me to shame. See, again, like I think Buana is another one. He does gaming, but he also does 3D printing. I've known him since the days of Ustream as well. Yeah, I mean, there's so many people. I'm sorry, I was trying to think beyond like
Yeah.
the people that you might have known, because inevitably there'd be crossover. But those are
No
some people
worries.
that I could think of just
No,
off the
there's
top
some
of my
good
head.
names. Good names in there.
These are people that I feel do a really good job, and I might have seen on a regular basis that I feel kind of understand and have a different perspective and a story that they bring to this.
Mm. Is there anything you thought I'd ask that I didn't?
My favorite Lego set. I don't know if I have one either. I don't. I collect minifigures though.
Yeah, you are.
Don't
You're a
ask me
big...
what my favorite. Yeah.
I won't.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't. Oh yeah, Zach recommended Sharp Balloons. She's really fun too. Freckled Science is not who I was thinking. DC Sublime. She's got red hair, orange hair. God, I can see her avatar. I'm better faces than I am with names. It's oh, God. It's gonna come to me.
You'll remember later, and then
I'll remember it. Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
talk about it.
Yeah.
So twitch.tv/Chris Pirillo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Twitch.tv/MakerDeck.
Yeah.
Or where you can find Chris on Twitch. Where else can they find you on the internet?
Oh, Twitter, pretty much Twitter and Twitch. That's pretty much where I live anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm everywhere, but like, those are the two platforms that I use most frequently.
Got it.
So yeah, here, pretty much Twitch. Twitch is where I live. If I have a browser open, it's probably on Twitch.
And that's every day,
if I'm browsing a network.
6 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, in another half hour or so.
In another half hour Pacific.
I'm gonna be eating my cereal. I have a cereal every Saturday, and it's a fun cereal. And then I'll have a beer, and then we'll talk, and we'll chat, and we'll 3D print, and we'll geek out, and then I'll be mentioning to everybody, all right, everyone go check out MakerDeck. Let's look at have MakerDeck pulled up, because I'm really trying to get like MakerDeck. It's the first week, but I'm just like I would love more people knowing about it, because it just accelerates the engagement. Someone was asking the cooking streamer. Her name is Stacy Roy.
Stacy Roy.
Yeah.
She's popped up in my recommended because I watch some cooking streams every so often.
Yeah, she's fun. She's good. I'm vegan, so I don't necessarily tune in for the stream, but it's like she's very very animated, very lively, and I just like the kind. Plus, she has Star Wars, so Star Wars usually sucks me in more than anything. Yeah. So, and yes, Crisis X Force. I am here on Twitch, and no, I'm not dead. See, he remembers. Look at that. Crisis X4 says Mr. Lockernome himself. What did I say? 20 years ago. That's how old I am.
It finally came around in terms of what you were talking about.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Remember him seeing the platform live stream back in the day, Ustream. See, I was doing Ustream. People have remembered me from like so many things.
Man.
I've done a lot. And now I've done this.
Man, there's so many things we could talk about, but
dude,
I want to thank you for hanging out with me for this episode. It's been such a pleasure to get to chat with you and discuss anything and everything that you've done and the things that are coming. All I have to say is, what are your parting words, your final words for those that are watching now and listening to this or seeing this later?
Be the best you can be. Stop trying to be someone else.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris, for joining me. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of Crossing the Streams. And we'll see you all soon.